The war was over, but one mission remained. The battlefield was quiet now. No more gunshots, no more screams. The long war between humans and the alien species known as the Kralnar had finally ended. Smoke still rose from the ground. Ships flew low, scanning for survivors. Bodies, human and alien, lay side by side in the dust. Some were still warm. Sergeant Marcus Ray stood at the edge of the ruined valley, his helmet in his hand, and sweat on his brow. His uniform was torn. His arms were scratched and burned. But his eyes, his tired, haunted eyes, looked toward the horizon, where peace had arrived at a heavy price. The war was over. But for Marcus, something still didn't feel right. In the weeks that followed, the Kralnar sent a strange message. Their leaders, in deep alien tones, spoke of a ritual bond, a sacred tradition to truly end conflict. One human and one Kralnar would connect their minds and hearts forever to represent true unity. It wasn't just symbolic. It was biological, mental, emotional, a deep connection that could not be faked or broken. But no human stepped forward. Everyone was afraid. The Kralnar were massive, 8-foot-tall giants with rough skin, glowing veins, and piercing eyes. To humans, they looked terrifying. To be bonded with one was like tying your soul to a dragon. Commanders argued. Scientists warned against it. Soldiers refused. News channels called it suicide in disguise. But Marcus said just 3 words. "I'll do it." The room went silent. His commanders stared in disbelief. One of them leaned forward and whispered, "You've lost enough, Ray. Why risk your life now?" Marcus didn't blink. "Because if we don't end this right, it'll start all over again. I've seen too many die. Maybe this is how we stop it forever." And so the meeting was arranged. The next morning, at a neutral ground far from cities or bases, Marcus stood on an open field. His heart pounded. His palms were sweaty. He hadn't slept. He kept thinking of the worst. What if this was a trap? What if bonding meant losing control of his own mind, but it was too late to turn back? The ground trembled. A ship descended slowly, its engines humming like thunder. From it, a Kralnar warrior stepped out. She was huge, at least 8 feet, tall, with thick arms, a broad chest, and a long tail that curled behind her. Her armor shined under the morning sun, and across her face were glowing battle scars, each one a symbol of victory in her culture. Her name was Tavara, daughter of the High Warlord, and she had fought in over 60 battles. This was her first, without a weapon. She walked toward Marcus slowly, each step heavy and loud. Soldiers nearby gripped their weapons, nervous and alert. Marcus stood still, refusing to flinch. His throat was dry, but he didn't show fear. Tavara stopped just a few feet from him. For a moment, nothing happened. Just silence. Then she did something unexpected. She knelt. Her giant frame lowered, her head bowed, and her glowing eyes looked up at him. Not with anger, but with deep respect. She extended her hand, clawed and huge, palm open. Marcus didn't hesitate. He placed his hand in hers, and the bond began. A strange light shimmered around them. Their skin glowed faintly. Tavara let out a breath, half growl, half sigh, as the connection deepened. Marcus felt a sharp pain in his chest. He gasped, falling to one knee. But he didn't let go. Suddenly, memories rushed into his mind, but they weren't his. He saw a burning alien city, a child crying, a mother falling, then a warrior rising from the ashes, Tavara swearing revenge on humans. He felt her rage, then her sorrow, her loneliness, her hope. Tavara's mind, her past, her pain, it was now inside him, and he realized something. She wasn't a monster, she was just tired of war. Like him. The light faded, the air was still. Tavara looked at him, her voice soft and deep. "You are strong. Human. I accept the bond." Marcus nodded, barely able to speak. From a distance, the human officials watched in awe. No one clapped, no one cheered, But something had changed in the air. Something sacred. Something final. The war was over, and now, a new chapter had begun. She could crush him, but she lowered her head. The sky was dark when Marcus Ray woke up. His chest hurt, and sweat covered his body. He sat up quickly, breathing heavy. His heart beat fast. Something wasn't right. He wasn't in danger, but he felt danger. Like fear was burning deep inside him, but it wasn't his fear. It was hers. Tavera, the 8-foot alien warrior, was sitting just outside the camp tent, her glowing scars pulsing faintly in the dark. Her large back was turned to him. Even sitting, she looked like a mountain, unshakable, untouchable. Marcus stepped out slowly, trying not to startle her. "You can feel me now," he said softly. Tavera turned her head just slightly. "Yes, and you can feel me." Marcus nodded. That night after their bonding ritual, something had changed inside him. Not just thoughts, not just emotions. It was like he could sense her presence, feel her heart beating near his own, her sadness, her strength, her deep loneliness. And she could feel his too. For hours they sat in silence, facing the stars. Two warriors, one human and one alien, both broken in different ways, but now connected. Suddenly, a sound cracked the stillness. A small rabbit had wandered into the camp. It froze, sensing danger. Tavera didn't move, but when the rabbit turned toward her, it screamed and ran away. Marcus smiled slightly. "You scare everything." Tavera's voice was quiet. "I was made to." There was pain in her words. Pain that went deep. "I was chosen to be bonded," she said after a pause. "But no Kralnar male accepted me. They said I was too violent, too strong, too wild." Marcus looked at her, surprised. "But you're a war hero." Tavera didn't answer. Instead, she stood up slowly. She walked toward him, each step careful but heavy. When she stood in front of him, she looked down, her glowing eyes locking with his. Marcus felt small, not just in height, but in strength. She was taller, thicker, stronger. Her arms could break bones with ease. Her hands, with sharp claws, could tear through armor. If she wanted to, she could end him in one move. But she didn't. She lowered her head. And then she knelt again. "I do not kneel for humans," she said. "I kneel for those who carry pain, like I do." Marcus didn't know what to say. He simply sat down again, right beside her, shoulder to shoulder. No fear, no judgment. Just silence. She spoke softly again. "You saw my memories, I saw yours too. You lost your brother, he died saving others." Marcus's eyes went wide. He had never told anyone. That moment, years ago, haunted him every night. But Tavera, she knew. Because now she carried his pain too. She placed her giant hand over his. Her claws didn't cut him. Her skin was rough, but her touch was gentle. "I will protect you," she said, "even if your own kind turns against you." Marcus chuckled lightly. "Too late. They already think I've lost my mind." "You're not mad," she replied. "You're brave." The bond between them began to glow faintly again. This time, not through light, but through emotion, trust, understanding, connection. Just then, a sharp sound echoed in the distance, metal clicking. Marcus stood fast, hand on his blaster. Tavera growled low, rising beside him. They weren't alone. Out of the shadows, a drone floated into view. Human-made, military. It scanned them with a red beam, locked onto Tavera, and flashed an alert. Marcus cursed under his breath. "They're watching us," Tavera snarled. "They fear what they don't control." The drone flew off fast, its signal already sent. Marcus looked up at her. "They'll try to stop this." She stepped in front of him, shield-like. "Let them try." In that moment, Marcus understood something deeper. Tavera wasn't just a weapon of war. She wasn't just some alien beast. She was a warrior. And now, she was his. Not in ownership, but in bond. And whether the world accepted it or not, they were no longer just human and alien. They were something new. They tried to break the bond and almost killed her. The next morning, Marcus and Tavara were taken to a secure human outpost in the desert. Military trucks arrived just before dawn. No welcome, no kindness, just orders. "Step out slowly," barked a soldier with a stun rifle pointed directly at Tavara's chest. Marcus held out his arms. "She's not a threat." The soldier didn't lower his weapon. "To you, maybe. To Earth? She's a walking bomb." Tavara stayed calm. She didn't move, didn't growl. But Marcus could feel the tightness in her chest through the bond. She was holding back, barely. Inside the outpost, a group of generals, doctors, and scientists stood behind glass. They watched like it was some kind of zoo. Marcus and Tavara were separated. She was placed inside a containment pod, glowing, blue walls humming with energy designed to weaken alien nervous systems, Marcus argued. "You don't need to do this, she came peacefully." One of the scientists, Dr. Yana Greaves, shook her head. "This is not about peace. We need to understand the bond. If it's dangerous, it must be removed." Marcus felt a chill in his spine. "You mean, you want to break it?" Dr. Greaves nodded. "It's not natural. No human body should carry alien neural links. It could evolve, mutate. We don't know what she's done to you." Marcus slammed his fists on the glass. "She saved me, I volunteered." "She's still an alien," a general snapped. "We don't trust her, and if that bond changes your brain, we lose control." That night, they started the procedure. Marcus was restrained to a bed, wires connected to his temples. Across the lab, Tavara was injected with a dulling agent, one meant to suppress bond waves. She screamed. Her body shook. The bond reacted violently. Marcus felt it like a blade in his chest. He convulsed. The lights flickered. Sirens wailed. Her neural response is spiking, shouted one tech. The bond is rejecting the interference. Push the signal harder. Greaves screamed. Tavara collapsed in her pod, blood trickling from her nose and ears. Her claws scratched the ground weakly. Her voice echoed in Marcus's head. "Stop. Hurts, stop," Marcus roared. His body pulsed with energy. The machines failed. Sparks flew. He broke free. Guards ran toward him, but he was already at the control panel. One press. The pod door hissed open. Tavara fell into his arms. She was cold, pale. Her skin had lost its glow. Her pulse was weak. Marcus shouted, "Get a medic, now!" But no one moved. Tavara's eyes opened slightly. "I failed the bond," she whispered. "No," Marcus whispered back. "They failed. Not you." He carried her out of the pod, pushing past stunned soldiers. "She needs help, not a cage." One doctor hesitated, then ran for medical gear. Others followed. Slowly, the humans saw something they hadn't before. This wasn't a beast. She was bleeding, suffering, vulnerable, and she had protected a human. Hours passed. Tavara was placed on a recovery bed, linked to stabilizing machines. Marcus sat beside her, holding her giant hand in both of his. Her breathing was shallow but steady. Dr. Greaves entered quietly. "We didn't know it would affect her like that." Marcus didn't look up. "You saw her as a test subject. I see her as a person." Greaves sighed. "The bond, it's stronger than we thought. It's not just mental, it's biological, emotional, almost spiritual." Marcus finally looked at her. "Then maybe it's exactly what we need. A connection deeper than politics or weapons." Greaves left in silence. Later that night, Tavara opened her eyes again. "You stayed." Marcus smiled faintly. Of course I did, I'm not leaving." She reached up and touched his forehead gently. Her hand was trembling. "You felt my pain. You didn't run." "I never will," he whispered. Their bond shimmered softly once more. Outside the room, a camera watched quietly, but this time, no one shut it off. because what it showed wasn't an experiment. It was hope. Hunted by both worlds, they found shelter underground. The wind outside the outpost howled with sand and heat. Inside, alarms flashed red. Orders screamed. Through radios, the military wasn't just watching Marcus and Tavara anymore. Now they wanted to capture them, or worse, eliminate them. They're going rogue. One general shouted. "They've bonded too deep," said Dr. Greaves quietly. "If we separate them again, she'll die. And maybe he will too." But orders had been given. Marcus and Tavara had 4 minutes to escape. He ran through the hallway, half-carrying Tavara, her body still weak from the failed procedure. Soldiers rushed behind them, shouting. The exit door was locked, but Marcus knew the layout. He had memorized it during his stay, just in case. "In here," he said, dragging her toward a maintenance tunnel hidden behind storage crates. The hatch was small, too small for an 8-foot alien. Tavara looked at the narrow passage, then at Marcus. "Leave me. You'll escape faster alone." "Not a chance," he snapped. "You're with me. Always." He took off his jacket, placed it on the cold metal floor, and gestured. "Slide in, I'll push you." Tavara hesitated, then trusted him. With every grunt, every scrape of armor against steel, they moved through the vent inch by inch. Behind them, boots thundered closer. But the tunnel led downward, deep into the earth, into the forgotten parts of the base. Finally, they dropped into darkness. They landed in an old service bunker abandoned years ago. The air was stale, the lights flickered weakly. But they were safe. For now. Tavara leaned against the wall, her breath heavy. Her glow had returned, just slightly. Marcus placed a hand on her shoulder. "Still with me?" She nodded. "I don't know why you fight so hard for me." Marcus gave a half smile. "Because I've never met anyone who made me feel alive like you do." She turned her face, hiding her eyes. "If your people find us, they'll end me." "And if your people find us?" Marcus asked. Tavara didn't answer. That silence said everything. They were hunted by both worlds now. Marcus searched the underground shelter. There were old supplies, cans of food, dry water packs, even an old generator. He powered it up, and a weak hum filled the air. Light returned. Not much, but enough to survive. For days they stayed hidden. They talked. They healed. Tavara shared stories of her world, of giant floating cities, of sacred duels under red moons, of a younger sister she once loved, now lost in battle, of traditions that forced her into war even when her heart longed for peace. Marcus shared stories too, of Earth, of his little brother's laughter, of a dog he once rescued from a frozen lake, of the day he lost everything and the night he chose not to give up. In those quiet moments, the bond between them grew deeper, not just through shared memories, but through understanding. One night, Tavara asked, "Why do your people fear connection?" Marcus paused. "Because connection changes things, and change scares people." She looked down. "But change is the only way peace survives." Suddenly, the generator buzzed sharply. Marcus jumped to his feet. "It's a signal. Someone's pinging this location." Tavara stood, her hand instinctively reaching for a weapon she didn't have. "They found us," she said. Marcus grabbed a small transmitter from the control panel. The message was short, encrypted. He decoded it, his eyes widened. "It's not them," he said. "It's someone else, someone who wants to help." Before Tavara could speak, the door creaked open. A woman in civilian gear stepped inside, older, tough, with sharp eyes. She raised her hands. "Name's Juno, ex-Intel. I saw what they did to you." Tavara growled. Marcus held her back. "She's not with the military?" Juno shook her head. "Not anymore. I believe in the bond. I think you two are what this war was meant to create, not destroy." She handed Marcus a small chip. "Coordinates to a neutral zone. Underground city, hidden, safe, For now. Tavara narrowed her eyes. Why help us? Juno looked at her with something close to awe. Because for the first time, I believe peace is possible, and it started with you two. As Juno left, Tavara looked at Marcus. You still sure I'm not your burden? Marcus reached up, brushing dirt from her face. You're my reason. And so, with new hope and a secret path ahead, they prepared to leave the bunker, together, not as soldier and alien, but as two hearts, bonded beyond blood, beyond fear, beyond war. To save the human, the alien became a monster. The safe house wasn't silent anymore. Juno's message had warned them. You have 24 hours before the strike team arrives. Leave now, or not at all. But leaving wasn't easy. Tavara was healing, slowly. Her body still carried the scars of the forced separation attempt. Her mind still flickered with pain. The bond between her and Marcus pulsed weakly like a candle in wind. Marcus sat beside her, holding her hand every night. He barely slept. His world had changed too fast. One day he was a soldier. The next he was bonded to a being most humans still feared. And now, she was the only one he trusted. We should move before dawn, he whispered, checking the energy cell on an old transport drone. Tavara looked at him. You're tired. I'll sleep when you're safe. She gave a small growl, the sound almost soft. I don't want you hurt because of me. Marcus smiled. It's too late for that. I already gave you my heart. Might as well give you my back too. They packed what little they had and prepared for the journey. But the stars had other plans. Before they could leave, the ceiling above them shook. A sound like thunder cracked through the bunker. Then came the crash. Steel beams exploded inward, and armored boots stomped down. The human strike team had arrived. Black armor, red visors, weapons drawn, no warnings, no hesitation. Target acquired, one of them shouted. Tavara of Kralnar, by human command you are to be executed. Marcus stepped in front of her. She's not your enemy, he yelled. A rifle cracked. The shot tore through his shoulder. He fell, screaming in pain, blood pouring from the wound. His vision blurred, but all he saw was her, Tavara, standing still, watching him fall, and something inside her snapped. The bond roared. Her scars began to glow red. Her breath deepened. Her body, once calm, once still, began to rise. Taller, wilder. Her armor split at the seams as her muscles flexed and her claws grew longer, sharper. Her eyes became like twin fires. She wasn't a warrior anymore. She was something primal, a protector, a beast, a goddess of war. The soldiers opened fire. Bullets sparked off her skin. She charged through them like a storm. Her claws tore through steel. One soldier flew across the room, armor shattered. Another screamed as his weapon melted in her grip. She didn't kill them, but she broke them. Crushed. Their pride, their power, their fear. They had called her a monster, so she became one, to save him. Marcus, half-conscious, could feel it all. Through the bond he saw flashes of her mind, memories of pain, of rejection, of being called unworthy by her own people. And now, here she was, unleashing everything to keep him alive. When the last soldier fell unconscious, the bunker fell silent, again, except for Marcus's ragged breath. Tavara dropped beside him, trembling, her eyes wide. I couldn't lose you, she said, her voice breaking. You didn't. Marcus coughed, blood on his lips. You came for me. She pressed, her hands to his wound. Her glowing blood mixed with his. The bond shimmered. Their pain became one. Then something strange happened. Marcus's wound began to close, slowly healing, not from human tech, but from alien energy. From her. The bond is deeper now, she said. You carry a piece of me, and I carry you. Marcus's voice was weak but clear. Remind me to never make you mad. She laughed, a low rumble. I only become that when you're in danger. Juno rushed in minutes later. What happened here? I saw the explosion. She stopped cold, eyes wide. Tavara stood tall again, covered in sweat, blood, and burning light. Marcus sat beside her, alive. Juno whispered, "You're not just bonded, you're fused." "No," Marcus said, standing up slowly, leaning on Tavara's arm. "We're not fused. We're one." That night they disappeared again, but whispers spread, of a human soldier protected by a glowing alien queen, of a creature once feared, now revered, of a bond so strong it could defeat war itself. And somewhere in the shadows, the ones who had ordered the execution began to fear what they could not control. They stood before the council and changed everything. For weeks, Marcus and Tavara remained in hiding, moving across deserts, through forests, and finally under the oceans, where a secret city lived beneath glass and silence. The neutral zone, a hidden sanctuary run by defected diplomats, rogue scientists, and peace believers from both worlds. Here, they were not hunted, but they were still feared. Marcus's wound had healed, thanks to the bond. But inside, he still carried the weight of war and the burden of what they had become. Tavara, once a warrior, now walked softer. Not weaker, just wiser. The rage that once burned in her chest now had direction, purpose. It was Juno who finally spoke the words neither of them dared say. "You have to go back." Marcus froze. "Back where?" "To the council, Marcus," Juno said. "To Earth's highest command. And Tavara, to the Kralnar War Tribunal. You must stand before them, together, and show what the bond truly means." "They'll kill us," Tavara said flatly. "Maybe," Juno nodded. "Or maybe, they'll listen." Marcus looked at Tavara. "You don't have to do this." She stared into his eyes. "I do. For you. For us. For what comes next." And so, the message was sent. To both Earth's Council of Unified Command and the Kralnar High Seat. A request for an audience. 2 warriors. 1 bond. 1 truth. They were summoned. The date was set. The galaxy held its breath. The chambers were massive, walls of glass and crystal, flags from across the stars, a circle of leaders seated in high chairs. Security was thick. Weapons were hidden in every corner. At the center, 2 platforms, one for Marcus, one for Tavara. They walked in side by side. People gasped, some backed away, some simply stared. Tavara in full ceremonial armor, glowing softly. Marcus in a plain soldier's uniform, patched and worn. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I know what you see," he said to the crowd. "A human and an alien. A threat, a mistake. But that's not what we are." He turned to Tavara, then back to the council. "We were enemies. We spilled each other's blood, but when I bonded with her I saw something no war could show me. Truth." Tavara stepped forward now. Her voice was deep, but calm. "I was raised to hate humans, to fear them, to kill them. But this man, this fragile, stubborn, brave man, opened my mind. He carried my memories and I carry his." A Kralnar elder leaned forward. "And what have you learned from this bond?" Tavara's voice cracked. "That pain is not ours alone. That grief is not owned by one race. That peace is not weakness." Murmurs filled the chamber, some angry, some hopeful. A human general stood. "This bond, it changed you both. But what if it spreads? What if others try?" Marcus nodded. "Then maybe they'll stop killing each other. Maybe they'll learn what I did. That understanding another being isn't weakness. It's power. Real power." A Kralnar priestess stood slowly. Her eyes glowed. "In our history, such a bond was sacred, but forbidden with outsiders. You have broken a law older than stars." "I didn't come to follow old laws," Marcus said. I came to build new ones. There was silence. Then, Dr. Greaves stepped forward from the shadows, shaking, humbled, but no longer afraid. I was there when they tried to break them apart. I saw the damage. I studied the bond. And I believe them now. This isn't evolution gone wrong. This is something beautiful, something rare. The Human Council leader stood, eyes narrowed. And what would you have us do? Applaud them? Reward them? No, Greaves said. Learn from them. The council went into closed session. Hours passed. Marcus and Tavara waited in a side room, hands silently resting together. He whispered, "No matter what happens out there, I'm proud of us." She looked at him gently. "Then I have already won." At last, the doors opened. Everyone rose. The human and alien council stood together, side by side. The verdict? The bond shall not be broken. The experiment shall not be ended, but expanded, watched, respected. And then, the shock. You are both free, not fugitives, but ambassadors of peace. The galaxy was watching, and in that moment, everything changed, not because of guns, not because of war, but because a man and a giant alien warrior dared to trust, and that trust became a new beginning. One last battlefield. Together. Peace didn't come easy. Even after the Council's decision, not everyone agreed. Some called it a mistake. Others called it betrayal. And in the far edge of the galaxy, a rogue Kralnar warlord named Velrock prepared to destroy everything the bond had built. He had stolen an ancient weapon, a planet killer once hidden deep in the Kralnar tomb worlds, powered by core energy and designed to erase life without leaving rubble. His target, Earth, we. Trusted them, Marcus said, pacing in the strategy chamber. We gave them hope, and now this? Tavara stood beside him, arms folded, her expression grim. Velrock doesn't care for hope. He cares only for pride, for revenge. Juno stepped forward. No army can reach that weapon in time. Not without casualties. Marcus looked at Tavara. Then it has to be us. She didn't hesitate. Together, the council begged them not to go. But they had already made up their minds. This was their fight. Not because they were heroes, but because they understood both sides. Because they carried the pain of war, the weight of loss, and the fire of a bond no weapon could destroy. The rogue. World was empty, cold, floating between dying stars. The weapon stood like a black tower surrounded by old Kralnar defenses, automated, deadly. Tavara landed the stolen dropship with expert skill. Marcus gripped his weapon tightly, already. Sweating, you okay? She asked. I've never been okay, Marcus replied, grinning. But with you, I'm brave. They moved fast, silent, like wind through a graveyard. Security drones scanned the air, but Tavara knew the pattern. She had been trained in these ruins. She remembered every trap, every shadow. As they reached the control tower, Marcus placed a charge on the gate. Boom, metal shattered. Inside, the weapon pulsed, already charging. 15 minutes to launch. And standing before the core was Velrock. Massive, armored, eyes full of hate. You, he growled at Tavara. You bonded with the filth. You dishonored our blood. I found peace, she replied. You found nothing. Velrock roared and charged. Marcus jumped in front of her, firing. The shots bounced off Velrock's armor. Tavara pushed Marcus aside. No, he's mine. The gi. Two giants clashed like titans, claws against claws, roar against roar. Stone cracked under their weight. Sparks flew. Marcus, bleeding from the blast, crawled toward the control panel. I have to disable the core before it's too late. He pulled out the override chip Juno gave him. Inserted it. Wrong port. Beeping. Alarms. Tammy's minutes. Tavara screamed. Velrock had slashed her side. Her blood sprayed the floor. But she fought harder. I carry him inside me. she shouted, punching Velrock back. And he carries me. Through the bond, Marcus felt her pain. It surged through him like fire. He reached out, mentally, spiritually. Tavara. I need your mind. She heard him, and in that moment, they connected fully. No walls, no fear, just one being, in two bodies. And her hands, guided by his knowledge, found the true core fuse. She ripped it out. The weapon died. Velrock screamed one last time, before collapsing. Smoke filled the room. Marcus lay flat, coughing. Is it over? Tavara fell, beside him. Yes. He looked at her, covered in wounds and glowing with fading light. We did it. She smiled faintly. Together. A week later, the skies above Earth glowed with ships, not for war but for celebration. Marcus stood in uniform again, not as a soldier, but as a hero of peace. Tavara stood beside him, wearing a white robe lined with symbols of two worlds. Together, they spoke to the galaxy. We were enemies once, Marcus said, but we chose to see each other, truly see, and through that, we became more. Tavara's voice followed, calm and strong. If a human and a Kralnar can share one heart, then perhaps peace is not a dream. It is a path. People cried, some cheered, others simply stood in silence, changed. The bond had survived. War, fear, betrayal. And now, it would lead the way. For a better future. For a galaxy that had almost forgotten what hope felt like. End of story.